The title of today's class is Good News. You don't know who you really are, and no one else does either. Now, if you say to most people, do you know who you are? They'll say, sure, I know who I am. I might say I'm me, or I'm a good person. One person said, I'm a person who tries to be honest and do the right thing. And when she said that, I said, oh, so you are a person who is defined by what you try to be. I said, oh, that's pretty good. You're defined by who you try to be. Along those lines, I think of myself as the urge to goodness. I'll just give a quick viewpoint of who I am. I am the urge to goodness. That's the closest definition to myself. But people have different definitions of themselves. We're going to explore them. We're going to look at the pros and cons of different ways and look at the implications spiritually, psychologically, and physically. Now, certainly the public image we know is not a good definition of who somebody else is. We know that. How many people who have seemed great or have been wonderful say ministers of the Word of God, and then we find out scandals. Is that person really generous? Well, yeah, a person might be giving to charity and helping people, but certainly it compromises how you look at them. The person's also, say, a liar and a thief. Well, the person can have the identity of being a generous person and also a liar and a thief. But if the person had not stolen that money, would they have been as generous with their own? Possibly not. If they would still be generous with their own, then you can say, well, they are a generous person. But if they wouldn't, they only be generous with easy come, easy go, money they're stealing, then you say, well, they're not generous. So there's just too many factors to know in terms of defining a person by public image. And then people are shocked when athletes or presidents of the United States do things that look immoral as if these were the role models. And of course, they're not. Often some unknown janitor working in a school who works hard all day to support his kids and his wife might be a far more honorable man than any well-known athlete or president. But yet, no one says, well, he's the role model. Yet, really, he is. Somebody may say, well, people might say, well, that man, well, he's a jealous type. And he may even say himself, yeah, I am a very jealous type. But it could be situationally defined. It could be his girlfriend or his wife is very flirtatious, keeping him jealous. Now, that relationship ends. He meets somebody else. He feels secure. She's faithful, does not flirt, and he carries himself differently. He becomes very secure. You say, well, people who meet him, and he says of himself, and people say, well, he's a very secure individual. Look, his wife's talking to that guy for a while. It doesn't bother him. He's very secure in himself. Well, he knows he can trust her. So he starts saying to himself, I'm a very secure, trusting person towards my spouse or my girlfriend. So again, it's situationally defined. You can meet somebody and say, well, that man, he's such a peaceful man. Look how peaceful he is. Well, many people can be peaceful when they're paying their bills, their health is good, their loved ones are good. But this man may become, if you knew him in another circumstance where he didn't have any money to feed his children, these people might say, well, he's a very violent man. He beats people up to take their money to feed his children. They say he's a violent man. Somebody could say of themselves, I'm a very lonely person. And people who know him say, yeah, he's a very lonely guy. Well, it could be it's because he's surrounded by people who are very superficial. And then he meets some people who are deep, who speak deeply from the heart. And he's no longer lonely. They say, gee, that guy's, I'm not a lonely man. I feel very fulfilled in my relationships because he's talking more deeply from his heart. You can have a man who's healthy and strong and built well, and he carries himself with great confidence. You say, he's a confident man. And if you ask him about himself, he says, I'm a confident man, very confident. But if he's to lose his health, come down with a disease, lose his strength, he can become very insecure. So, well, he's a very insecure man. Depends when you met him.